Hey everyone, welcome to another explainer. Picture this for a second. You're heading out for a long drive, right? Sun's shining, and you just grab a plastic water bottle from that huge bulk stash you keep in the trunk of your car, or maybe the back of a hot garage. It's a completely everyday scenario. We literally never think twice about it. But today, we're going to look at that ubiquitous little plastic bottle a whole lot differently. We're unpacking the truth behind bottled water expiration, and I gotta tell you, what we cover today might honestly change how you store your water forever. If you look really closely at the neck or maybe the cap of that bottle you just grabbed, you're almost definitely going to see an expiration date stamped right there in tiny black ink. Which brings us to a super fascinating question, and really it's the whole crux of this explainer. Does bottled water actually expire? I mean, think about it logically, right? Water is this fundamental natural compound. It's literally been cycling around our planet for billions of years without a single issue. So how on earth can something so ancient, so elementally stable, suddenly go bad just because we stuck it inside a piece of plastic? It feels like a complete paradox, doesn't it? Well, let's figure out what's actually going on. All right, to solve this expiration mystery, we need to decode these dates, because we've all seen those printed timestamps, but very few of us actually stop to wonder what they mean in the real world. To really get to the bottom of this, let's look at the credible science. The official stance from both the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, and the International Bottled Water Association is absolutely definitive. They officially state that, by nature, properly processed water just does not expire on its own. So boom, right out of the gate, we can totally bust that myth. Water doesn't rot, it doesn't spoil, it doesn't go bad the way milk or food does. The liquid itself is, for all intents and purposes, immortal. So, why have a date at all, right? Usually, you'll see a shelf life of about 1 to 2 years from the day it was produced. Here's the secret. That timeline isn't actually for the water. Not at all. It's a timeline built purely for the manufacturer. It is 100% about packaging quality control and stock management. Bottling companies use those dates so they can manage their warehouse inventory, rotate their stock, and make sure the container itself maintains its structural integrity. Basically, it's just a logistical tool for the business, not some biological warning label for the water you're drinking. Okay, so let's pivot here to the real culprit, the plastic packaging. Because if the water isn't going bad, something else definitely is. And we need to shift our focus entirely away from that immortal liquid and onto the vessel that's holding it. It's a really stark contrast when you think about it. On the one hand, you have water, which, again, never naturally expires. And on the other hand, you have the plastic bottle, which unequivocally degrades over time. So when we casually talk about our bottled water expiring, we're actually talking about the expiration of the plastic packaging itself. The bottle is breaking down, and that physical breakdown, that is what eventually interacts with your drinking water. Which brings us to a super simple rule. Environment is infinitely greater than time. Look, yes, the ticking clock matters a little bit, but the absolute central factor in whether your bottled water is safe isn't the calendar date. It's the physical environment where that bottle has been sitting. You could easily have a bottle that is technically expired according to its stamp, but if it was stored perfectly, it's probably entirely safe. On the flip side, a brand new bottle that's stored poorly can become contaminated and unsafe incredibly fast. It is all about the environment. And that brings us to the invisible health risks, specifically heat, sun, and leaching. This is where we need to escalate things a bit and talk about that incredibly common, relatable, but honestly quite dangerous habit we just mentioned, leaving cases of water baking in a hot, sun-drenched car. Now let's set the record straight right now so we know exactly what we're dealing with. If you drink slightly older, expired water that's been kept in a nice, cool, shaded place, it's not going to give you acute diarrhea or food poisoning. Commercially bottled water is rigorously filtered and sterilized. There's no rogue bacteria just waiting to attack your stomach. But, and this is a big but, if you open a bottle and you notice a really strong plastic smell, or maybe a weird chemical taste, that is a massive sensory warning sign. It doesn't mean food poisoning, but it absolutely means chemical contamination has happened. Because there's this hidden, invisible chemistry happening right under our noses. When plastic gets blasted by high heat, its degradation goes into absolute overdrive. The heat literally forces these invisible, potentially harmful chemicals to leach right out of the plastic and straight into your water. We're primarily talking about heavy metals like antimony and these industrial plasticizers called phthalates. You totally can't see them, but scientific studies show that if you ingest them over a long period, they act as these silent threats. We're talking potential long-term disruption to your hormone system, plus negative impacts on your liver and kidneys. It's not an overnight thing, it's a slow, cumulative risk that just builds up over time. So, how do we fix it? Let's dive into some safe storage secrets with expert-backed guidelines. Now that we understand the whole invisible chemistry side of things, I want to empower you with some really actionable, simple rules so you can protect yourself and keep your stored water perfectly safe. There are just 4 simple steps here. Number 1, avoid direct sunlight. Seriously, get those bottles out of the hot car and away from sunny windows where the UV rays can cook them. Number 2, keep them in a cool, dry, well-ventilated place. I can't stress this enough. Temperature control is your absolute best defense against plastic breaking down. Number 3, store them away from strong chemicals. And finally, number 4, always just take a second to observe the water for clarity, any weird sediment, or unusual smells before you take a sip. If you just follow those 4 easy steps, you basically stop plastic degradation and chemical leaching dead in its tracks. Now hold on. Regarding that third rule about storing your water away from chemicals, there is a mind-blowing fact that catches almost everyone off guard. Plastic actually has microscopic pores. I know, it feels solid, but it's not a perfect impenetrable shield like glass. Because it's highly porous, if you store your bottled water under the sink next to some harsh cleaning supplies, or in the garage right next to the gas cans, the plastic will literally breathe in and absorb those toxic vapors. Over time, your supposedly pure, pristine drinking water will actually take on those chemical smells and the contaminants that come with them. Wild, right? So, as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with one very provocative question. Where is your water stash being stored right now? Seriously, take a quick mental walk through your house, your pantry, or your driveway. Is your water sitting right in a sunbeam? Is it stacked directly next to the bleach in your laundry room? I really highly encourage you to evaluate your storage habits the second this explainer is over. Move those bottles to a cool, dark, safe spot so that every single drop you drink is exactly as pure as nature intended. Thank you guys so much for joining me to uncover the science behind the plastic. Keep learning, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next explainer.